Let's use up some white paper scraps and make some whimsical snowmen. You want to? Come on in. Hello everybody, it's Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps, and today we're talking about white paper scraps and some Christmas card whimsy. So come on in and let me show you what I'm working on. Now we all have this kind of stuff on our work desk, but what I'm working on today is the cutoffs from some mini slimline cards. And you can see I have cut an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper to make one mini slimline card. And so now I'm looking for something to do with that piece because it's a nice big piece of white paper, and I'll figure that out at another day. But today I'm going to use this piece. Let me get this out of the way, and we'll go through what we need for today, because there's a lot of stuff here, but what we're making is fun and it's cute. And let me show you, because every year I make some of these little guys for cards and tags and what have you, and they use this little piece very nicely. You can get your 2-inch, your 1.5 inch, and your 1-inch punch out of this piece to make either one of these little snowman and snow kid figures. So let me show you. The first one, of course, is the 2-inch, and I try to get it out of the way first. This is a big Fisker's thick punch for some reason, and I don't understand it. I have a terrible time with 2-inch punches. This 2-inch circle punch for me just does not last in my studio, and I don't know why. I've not been able to figure it out. So that's the 2-inch. We're going to do a 1.5 inch. And then a 1-inch punch. And that's what's going to make the complete snowman. And then I have enough left over here for a little sentiment or something else. But that pretty well uses up this entire piece of paper. So let me get these punches out of the way, because we're going to need a little room here in just a second. I am going to need the 1-inch punch again, but I will not need those other two, and I won't need this scrap again today. So what I do when I have these weird little projects like this is to make myself a little template and a little reminder sheet for how to make these things, because I make a few of them every year. And you can see the hat, for example, I've made that out of a 1/2 inch punch, which is right here, and then just a little tiny strip of black paper, which is 3/8 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. And all I do to make that hat is drop a little small line of glue down and put the, where'd my tweezers go? Put the brim of the hat on right up to the edge, and just kind of make it an equal distance there. And then I'll try to get the edges squared up and drag my extra glue off because I got messy on it. That's okay, we're going to put a little snow on the hat anyway, and so that'll be covered up in just a second. So there's one part. Now let me show you how I make the little tree limb hands, and the reason this punch is here is to remind me, in my senior age, I forget which punch I use, and I had to figure it out this year, and I thought, well, Julia, that's just goofy. So I made a little punch to remind myself that it's just this little part right here. And to beat that, I only had this little tiny bunch of early espresso paper left. That's all I've got in my stash. I've got to order some more. And let me show you how I do that when I have this situation. I have just a little bit of ATG tape runner on this little white strip, and all that does is give me the wiggle room to set this up on the punch to make a good punch. And then I can take my little snips and cut it where I want to. Right like that, and pull the extra white paper off the back. It should come right on off without tearing your other paper up. And so that's how I make the little tree hands. And then I'll go right back in and do that one more time for the second one, since we'll need two. And I just put a teensy little bit of ATG on there, just enough to hold the paper for a little minute, and slip that down in there, and that way you can wiggle it around however you want to make your punch. And you don't have to waste a whole leaf worth of paper, because honestly I just didn't have it. It's crazy. I don't know, I guess Early Espresso is one of my favorite brown papers of all time, so I use quite a bit of it when I'm using brown. And I've been doing some brown and turquoise recently, so there you have it. Now, I'll set those aside. Let's talk about the little template that I've got here and why I have it. You can see that I determined that I liked this particular snowman pattern. And what you'll need to do when you make your punches is lay them out until you get what you think looks like the best layout for a nice snowman, and then draw around the outside, and that's how you come up with that. So I've also taken two more circle punches. This of course is the face, and then this is the middle section that has the three little buttons on it. So this is the way that goes then. Let me show you how I make this. First thing I do is to fold it in half and use my bone folder to crease it down really well. And this first little spot right here is at 3/8, and then the end of the nose comes to 5/8. So I'll put that down on my mat and mark a little tick at 3/8 and 5/8, and then I'll come in with my scissors and do a little snip and come back and snip it out to get the nose section here. Now to get the eyes, I use my crocodile on the small setting, which is a 1/8 inch hole, and I put my eye placement where I think I want it and punch with it folded. And I do the mouth the same way. The center, I open it up and do the center one first, and then I'll close it back up, and I just move around, and you can see where I've put some tentative marks on in pencil here, and I just punch through it folded, and that way your smiley face for the charcoal smile comes out just fine. Now what I do with this is to take a 1-inch circle and an orange Sharpie, and I don't see a color number on this, but it's orange. And I just put it down on top, just like you were making a 2-layer piece there. And I add the orange in for the nose first. And then I put my cap back on my pen. Now I have a black glitter pen here that I'm using, and this happens to be a Sargent art pen. It's whatever you want to use that you have in your stash. I just happen to like this one, and I just draw the eyes in and do your little detail work on both the head and the body piece before you start gluing up. It's just easier that way. So there's the face, and now let's do the little body piece. And I did this one the same way. I folded it in half, and I just equally spaced on the lower half my 3 little dots with my crocodile. There's no rhyme or reason for where you put it. You just have to place it where your placement looks right to you, and you'll know once you start doing these and make your little template. It just makes it so easy to do, and you can do these in front of the TV and get everything all fixed and ready to assemble, and then it just doesn't take any time at all. The fun part begins then. So we've got this little template, we've got our little hat and our 2 little arms ready. Now I have a little T90 corner punch that has a heart in it, and this is my favorite heart to use for little small hearts like this, so I punched us out one of those. And the only other thing that I want to show you how to fix is the little scarf, and we're going to do this with 2 different punches. The 1-inch punch we're going to do first, and when you're punching, don't leave too much, but leave enough to get that extra 1/4 inch out. And don't shove it all the way up in there. If you do, that 1 1/4 inch punch might not work. So let's just take a punch. This is going back in my scrap bin because I don't need it today. And I've got my Astro Bright Re-Entry Red scrap pile right here, and that's where that's going. So then you take your 1 1/4 inch punch, which is a 1/4 inch up from that one, and make a punch with it equal distance all around. There we go. And then you can get 2 little scarves out of this. So I'm just going to cut it in half. We'll have to trim it just a little bit. And this is, I would say, about 3/8 inch wide. It could be a little less than that. And all I do is to fold it over the way I want it, and just trim it out like you would see a neck scarf. And then you put a little glue up here in the fold, and put it on your neck band off to the side. I usually do mine on the right or the left, it doesn't matter. And set that aside and let it dry for just a second. Now let's assemble this little guy because it's ready to go. We've got the base, and I'm just going to lay that on my little template here. Let me make myself some room. Oh, come on now. There's lots of pieces here, but it doesn't take long to make. You can tell that. There's the first one. Now here's the second one. Of course, your buttons now, they're going to go down towards the bottom end here. I put a little glue right here, and be careful, don't go down too far now. And then I just put this right up in where my template says it should go, and hold it for a second for the glue to start to work, and that's fine. Now the next thing that I want to do is to get my little necktie going here, and I do that by kind of not gluing down the head, but by just placing it there so I can tell how far down it needs to kind of go. You see what I'm saying? And then I just glue this on, and then I'll come back and do the top head in just a second when this one gets put on. So let's make this a little lefty necktie. The reason I do it at this point is because it's easier to trim now than it is later when you have the head on. So there we go. And then the head goes on. And I kind of, sometimes I'll twist him just a little for a little jaunty look, if you will. So he kind of smiles up at you a little bit. And I generally, oops, that's not the right one. I generally, on the hat, I put a little bit of glue right along the bottom edge of the hat here. And I just kind of set him on at a little angle. There. Now, on the arms, when I do my template, I decide where I want my arms to go, and I make a little mark on my template so that I can be consistent about it. You wouldn't have to. I just do that because I make these in quantity and use them for presents and what have you. Sometimes I send them a few with a Christmas card for gift tags, and I'll show you that in just a second here. And this should have gone up underneath that. So that's a good thing I didn't glue it down, isn't it? There we are. So there's a little snowman done. What I typically do is to put a piece of foam tape on the back if I'm going to paste it on a package. On some of them I'll put a to from on if I want it to be a package tag, like I did on this one and this one. And some of them I'll put up on a card, but most likely on all of them I add a little white pen work, and I just add a little snow. And this doesn't have to be exact at all. I just add a few little dots and dashes of snow up here. And that's why I said that little bit of glue on the little hat, it just doesn't really show up at all. And then I'll add some on the scarf. And I always add some on the hand, the tree limbs, and my pen's not working very well. Come on now. I have to get a different one. I don't know why white pens are just always a little cantankerous sometimes. Just that little bit of white snow. Doesn't that make that cute? Now, this is where I can put the heart on, just by dropping a little tiny drop of glue and picking my, where's my little thing? Okay, here it is. You can put your little heart on. You can put some Wink of Stella on that. There. Now, so there's some examples. Let me show you a few more. Here's one that's mounted up on a tag. Now you all may remember these backgrounds that I made the other day with my stencil video, and this is one of them that was just a general cutoff. I added a little bit of rosy cheeks to this one. Let me show you how I do that, because I add I add just a little bit in, not much, just a little tiny bit, and then I'll take my blending tool and just go round and round and round and round and round on that until it kind of softens that up just a little bit, because I think that little pink is just a little harsh on them. there. And that makes just a kind of a rosy little cheek for you on that one. And then here's a Christmas card with one. And you can tell that I added a little glitter. I hope you can see that on the camera. I added a little bit of glitter, and I added a little red gem here and some snowflakes. This is one of those stencil pieces that I did the other day. And then I just used an edging die and cut the edge and stamped my Merry Christmas. So I hope you all had fun with these. I just think they're whimsical and fun to make. And if you'll make yourself a little template like I did, remind yourself where you're going to get your hands from, then it's fun. You can keep it in your drawer. And I always keep a little sample of them in with my template just to kind of remind myself a little bit what I'm doing and some ideas. But they make cute little tags and cute cards, so I hope you'll try some and enjoy them and use up a few more of those white paper scraps. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.